Please welcome to the stage right now, the wonderful Amy Vedder.
We all have moments that are defining for us. What was that moment for you, and whether you took action on it?
And what are the things that I need to pivot on? It's finding the things that come natural. You can train yourself to do anything. If you put the right habit to it, you take a moment through your day, and maybe it's just 5 minutes, you have harmony.
I wanted to re-explore my love for music. And today, my family plays together as the Vetinators. So I feel in balance with my family, with fitness, with self-care, with my hobbies.
It's important that we implement something in our life that we can then review every 30 days, that someone isn't forcing us to do, that it isn't about somebody else evaluating us. It's giving ourselves those little wins that we can see that we are actually making progress toward the goals in our life.
First of all, I just want to say I'm amazed by this. Like, I feel like I had an aha moment.
This was the plaque above my bed when I grew up.
Although this plaque was a mantra of strength and confidence as a woman, it also sent some messages to me that took me a while to overcome. I didn't become a doctor or a lawyer, but I did become a CPA. I grew up with stories of my grandfather's success as a CPA and my mom's disappointment that she had not fulfilled his dreams of one day taking over his accounting practice. So I decided at 12 years old to become a CPA and one day fulfill the legacy. Throughout our lives, it's not uncommon to believe that we want something that maybe is not what inspires us or what we truly value. Instead, many of us ignore what's deep inside and never connect with our authentic self. We all have defining moments in our life, and my moment was when I was 32 years old. That was when I was promoted to being a partner in a CPA firm. I had worked so hard for that day. I kept driving myself and never ever questioned whether it was right for me. That day, my managing partner came into my office to congratulate me. But it was his next line that changed everything. He said, "I just love knowing who I'm gonna retire with one day." I was 32 years old. This sent me into a tailspin. What do you mean? There's nothing else to work toward? I have no more goals? I'm stuck here for 30 more years? So instead of being overwhelmed with excitement, I was actually really unhappy. So rather than celebrating that night with my husband and my children, I called my therapist. And we uncovered I wasn't happy because I was living somebody else's dreams and not my own. But where did that leave me? I had worked years being a CPA, thinking about being a CPA. It's not that I didn't love my job or love working with my clients, but something in my life was leaving me unfulfilled, and I needed to understand why. Did I really want to quit what I was doing and all the time I had invested in it and start over? I didn't know the answer, but what I did do was stop and disconnect from the pressures around me and go on a journey to see if I could create better work-life harmony. We all have moments that are defining for us. But what I'd like you to think about are what was that moment for you and whether you took action on it. And if you put a plaque up above your bed or your child's bed, let it read, "Have the courage to live a life true to yourself and not what others expect of you."
We usually have so many things pulling at us, especially as women. We've got our children pulling at us, our spouses pulling at us, the career that we're still trying to strive for and make everybody happy. And so instead of looking internal, what we do is say, I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to give everything up. It must be something else. It must be my marriage isn't working or my job isn't working. Instead of stopping and actually taking an assessment of ourselves. And actually looking internally to see what is going right about our life and what is going wrong about our life. And what are the things that I need to pivot on. It doesn't mean you have to give up your career, give up your family. What it does mean is the hardest part is doing soul searching and is actually working on yourself. And that takes effort and that takes motivation as well. And even during the worst times when you're going through it, you have to be okay to go through the process and keep going through it until you get to where you want to go. Now, what I learned from yoga was that all this time that I've been driving in my career, going toward a certain goal, I never actually allowed myself to think. I never slowed myself down. I never took moments to actually observe what thoughts were going through my head and how I was actually feeling. I just kept pushing through the day. And even when I exercised, it was hardcore exercise, so everything was like pounding as far as my life. And that beginning journey, for me, with yoga was really tough. Because actually, just being silent within my body, listening to myself, was really hard. And coming back each time and going through it all over again was even harder. But I allowed myself to keep doing this. And I kept pushing myself because I knew I was feeling better, and I knew I was discovering some things about myself and how I felt that I needed to keep pushing with it. Now, for some people, yoga may not be the thing for you. Exercise may not be the thing for you. It's finding the things that come natural to you. That when you do it, time just disappears. So one of the things that happens when we start our career and why I started feeling imbalanced was when you're a child and when you're going through high school and possibly college, you have all these activities. And you naturally go toward those activities, whatever they are, because you enjoy them. And time disappears when you do them. But then your career starts, then your family starts, and you start shedding all of those things that make you you. And when you start shedding those things, you start losing yourself in the midst of that. And when you think about, if you just go back to those moments as a child and think about, what were those things that time just kind of disappeared? What can I bring back in my life today that would actually just make me feel better if I set some time in my week, my day, my month to go back and do those things? Because when I do that, I actually feel better. So if I play music, if I do art, things that I used to do in high school, it actually gives my brain time to relieve myself from work, from the stress that's coming through each day. The question is, from the story that you just heard, do you feel you're imbalanced, and where do you feel you're imbalanced in your life? So I feel imbalanced with my family, with fitness, with self-care, with my hobbies, with learning, with yoga. These are all things that you should know as they come up for you. And when you go back into this book and read it on your own, there are pages in each chapter for you to brainstorm. They're called B3 brainstorming. And so it helps you to start taking notes as hear other people's stories of what comes up for you so that you can figure out how to start applying that back into your life and start bringing it into your own purpose. What happens to people that I found through talking to people over time is we start branding ourselves. You're right-brained, you're left-brained. And when we brand ourselves, we say, oh, I can't do art, I'm left-brained. Right? We start doing that to ourselves. That is not actually how it works. That's not how the brain works. You can train yourself to do anything. If you put the right habit to it, to actually create those neural pathways in your brain, to open up new channels and create that creative side to you. And when you do this, this works back into work and creates a better you at work. What's even more important is how we create brain health. So we can't just focus on one part of our brain. We actually have to focus on all parts so that we stay healthy and happier in our work and our life. And there's a lot of different components to brain health. One is exercise, but a lot of people don't enjoy exercise. Exercise can be walking. Actually, exercise is proven to be the best, or walking is the best exercise you can do. It's just maybe you're not sweating as much. That's not actually a sign that that's the best exercise for you. So find something that's easy for you to incorporate in your life like that, that's not too stressful. But other things that are important as well is joy. So joy does not mean, haha. Joy means this, what's happening at this event. Joy means community. Joy means working off of each other so that you can have that happiness and not be siloed. So when we go out dancing with each other, that creates true joy for our brain. It stimulates us because we're watching other people in their happiness and sharing that experience together. That creates something completely different for us. One of the other most important components to all of this, and it's so simple, but most of us are bad at it, sleep. So 6 hours from the research is not enough sleep. There's a couple key components to know that you haven't slept enough. If you're a passenger in a car, do you fall asleep? If you take off in a plane, do you fall asleep? You're not getting enough sleep. So what happens with sleep is the first half of that sleep, and so on average, the research is 7 to 9 hours of sleep is optimal for your brain, okay? So the first 4 hours, the first half of that is your deepest sleep. But the second half is where you're working out emotions and it's the renewal of the brain. So the things that are bothering you internally, that's why we wake up refreshed. That's why we don't go into work the next day as angry as we were the day before. Because we had that renewal. If we don't get enough sleep, we're causing a disservice to ourselves. So when I say the part can never be well, we have to think about how to incorporate all these things into our life. And how we do this with the brain is creating a habit for 30 days. So as adults, we are the worst at being learners. How many of us throw our kids into things? It's like, just go do it. Stop complaining. And they go do it. And then they say they're not that good at it. And we're like, just keep trying. We don't do that. So what happens is, as we become adults, we become experts. We don't like being the one that doesn't know. We don't like being the one that's not as good as everybody else. And when we don't spend time actually learning to learn as adults, it creates this disservice. So the research is within 30 days, you can create a new habit if you do it every day, even when it doesn't feel good. But you have to do it. You have to keep going back to it. There is no perfect day. And as we know, there's many demands in our workday versus our home life. And so we put pressure on ourselves to have this balance. And then when we don't get it, we're mad and get stressed out, and then we take it out at work and at home, right? So instead of that, releasing the stress on this, because this is something that is supposed to relieve stress for you. This could be knitting. This could be reading a book. This does not have to be exercise. This can be whatever that gives you relief, where your brain doesn't have to be thinking at the same level it's thinking at during the day. And if you take a moment through your day, and maybe it's just 5 minutes, you have harmony. Or you were just too busy today to go do it. Tomorrow, do it for a little bit longer. Just make sure that you're not putting pressure on yourself, else you're not going to get the benefit of it. So this is our family just playing together. I was a musician when I was younger, and I went through this process, realized I missed it. Again, and there's no way to become a professional musician at this point, and I don't want to be. But I wanted to incorporate music back into my life. So when my son started playing guitar, I was like, well, I could play guitar and do it with him. And then my younger son started singing and playing drums, and then my husband was like, well, I don't want to be left out. And he started playing keyboard. And so now we're the Vetonators. And so this has been a really exciting thing to be able to do together and share this as an experience. So even though it is a balance activity, I'm able to share it with my family and us get enjoyment together.
I just want to say, I'm amazed by this. Like, I feel like I had an aha moment. Now I got to go back and figure out my day.
What was your aha moment?
That I really miss certain things in my life that I gave up a long time ago, and one is music.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, but to have someone say that, and you kind of go, oh my gosh.
So whoever you pick up on February 21st, you are going to email them and say, did you do your 30-day self-count? The way today works is we want you guys to talk a lot. You should take all of those ideas and think about how to incorporate those into your business plans.
To make sure that you are being authentic to who you are and achieving more peace and happiness in your life. I have tools for you on my website to be able to use